Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening. Thanks for choosing Big Fox News. I'm Nick Smith. People who are eyeing a potential road trip may find themselves experiencing higher rental car prices and fewer cars to choose from. In tonight's top story, Matt Kleindus joins us from Corning to discuss how the pandemic is causing a spike in rental car prices and how you can best prepare.
Good evening, Nick. The AAA of Central and Western New York say that rental companies are having a harder time keeping up with increased travel demands, meaning that consumers have to plan further out in advance.
That good old supply and demand, that's what's affecting it.
April Ingram of AAA says the current conditions of the car rental landscape started last year as companies were working to stay afloat during the pandemic.
Car rental companies, they sold their vehicles, some of them, to help alleviate, monetary losses. So this has resulted in lower inventories.
And as the COVID outlook continues to improve, as more Americans get vaccinated, more people are beginning to travel again.
Now this means that renting a car, the prices have gone up as demand has suddenly increased.
This also means that some rental companies may not have enough cars for people to use while traveling. To get around the issue of securing a car, Ingram says it all comes down to two key points.
Planning in advance, planning as far out in advance as you can. Look at possible discounts you may have with memberships that you have, and that can help alleviate the costs when you are ready to book that trip and reserve a car.
Ingram says that rental prices may level off as more restrictions are relaxed and more people begin to travel. Matt Kleindus, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
New York losing a House seat after coming up 89 people short on the census. Today, the Census Bureau released total population figures and the apportionment of seats to the U.S. House of Representatives. The population stands at just over 331,449,000, representing a 7.4% growth rate over the last census. The state's delegation will now shrink from 27 to 26. As the U.S. resumes use of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, new numbers suggest at least 42% of Americans have received at least one dose. Now, efforts turn toward those reluctant to get vaccinated. Top U.S. health officials touting more freedoms for those who are fully protected. Mandy Gaither has the latest.
It's the latest push in the race to get more COVID-19 vaccines in the arms of Americans.
I think we're increasingly going to see a world where people who've been vaccinated are going to enjoy a lot of freedoms,
including travel. The New York Times reporting the European Union will allow vaccinated U.S. tourists to visit Europe this summer.
Whether it's traveling to Europe or whether it's just seeing your family and friends without having to worry, vaccination's the key.
Other vaccination incentives may soon follow. The CDC expected to come out with updated guidelines for the fully vaccinated, specifically when it comes to wearing masks outdoors.
So stay tuned, it's coming soon.
All this comes at a time when the U.S. could soon have more doses of the vaccine than people who are willing to receive them. And CDC data shows 8% of people who got one dose of either the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines have missed their second shot.
Whenever you have a two-dose vaccine, you're going to see people who, for one reason or other, convenience, forgetting, a number of other things, just don't show up for the second vaccine.
For those two-dose vaccines, officials say the protection is stronger and lasts longer with two shots than with just one. I'm Mandy Gaither reporting.
This week, President Biden will close out his first 100 days in office. The president is expected to mark the moment delivering his first joint address to Congress. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with more on what we can expect.
President Biden is returning to Capitol Hill, where he'll address a joint session of Congress on Wednesday, the week of his first 100 days. There won't be a big crowd due to COVID-19 restrictions. No lawmakers can bring guests. But some say Biden's actions so far have been anything but small, from delivering 200 million vaccine shots to proposing a $2 trillion infrastructure bill.
We're talking about the pipes that deliver clean water to our homes. We're talking about the power lines that deliver electricity. We're talking about electric vehicles.
Biden is expected to unveil another proposal Wednesday, the American Families Plan, the second half of his multi-trillion-dollar Build Back Better agenda. Details remain in flux, but it will likely be paid for by raising taxes on wealthy Americans.
It's not an infrastructure package. It's a families plan focused on child care and helping ease the burden on families.
Biden's closing out the first chapter of his presidency with a 54% approval rating, higher than his predecessor 4 years ago. But some Republicans say Biden has not made a substantial effort to reach out to them, despite touting the importance of unity.
We're going to hit 100 days. I have not met with the president one time, nor had one conversation with him.
Vice President Kamala Harris is also delivering her own speech today to United Nations members about how to address another potential global pandemic. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
The ongoing violence against Asian Americans is now starting to have an effect on students. Ashley Strohmeyer has more on why some parents are choosing to keep their children out of the classroom.
For many parents, deciding to send their kids back to school during a pandemic can be a tough choice, but a growing number of Asian American parents are worried their children could be exposed to more than just the coronavirus, as the increase in Asian hate crimes is causing major concerns.
Hate crimes against AAPIs in this country, even though they are underreported, rose by 150% in this past year alone.
According to the latest data from the Department of Education, roughly 7 in 10 Asian American students, grades K through 12, are still learning remotely, far more than their white, black, and Hispanic counterparts.
We are fighting COVID-19 and anti-Asian hate virus, and it's not an easy decision to hold my son back.
For some parents sending their kids back, they say it's important to have honest conversations about what's going on in the world.
There might be anti-Asian verbal attacks, and so I think it's important to talk to your kids, get them mentally prepared.
This comes as authorities in New York are hunting for a suspect in the latest attack on an Asian American man. The attacker is seen repeatedly kicking the victim in the head before walking away. And government officials say enough is enough, with the Senate recently passing a bill that could help make it easier to solve and prosecute hate crimes against Asian Americans. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Take a look at your screen. New York police are looking for this person of interest in connection to possible hate crimes against synagogues. They released surveillance video that they say shows the person shattering windows and doors with rocks. In all, 6 attacks took place at 4 synagogues between Friday and Sunday. Police believe the same person is responsible for breaking windows on vehicles in separate incidents. New York Police Department's Hate Crimes Task Force is investigating. The Finger Lakes region could be designated as a National Heritage Area by Congress. Currently, the National Park Service is conducting a feasibility study on the 14-county area. According to the Finger Lakes Tourism Alliance, the designation would give the area a national presence as well as allow local entities to help tell stories of the region.
We have the geology, we have the movements that we've been engaged in to help change the nation. If you think about the women's right to vote, the Underground Railroad. So as we're looking to integrate all of those themes and tell a cohesive story, the National Park Service can help with that.
Residents can help with the designation efforts by going to the Finger Lakes Tourism Alliance's website. It's spring, and we're nearing the end of April, so it's no surprise when people in California were caught off guard when a late April snowstorm hit Donner Summit over the weekend. Janine Nguyen has more.
It's a sight that's not something people would expect in late April driving through Donner Summit off I-80. Jose Garcia from Modesto was on his way to Reno when he decided to step outside his car for a little break.
We didn't think it was going to be this cold up here. Coming from the valley, you know.
And like a lot of people up here, light clothing was the wardrobe choice of the day.
Coming from the Bay Area, it's more like this is our everyday outfits, and we didn't plan accordingly to come to the snow.
Even though the sight of snow wasn't something Christian Salcido expected to run into on his way back home to Pittsburgh from Fallon, Nevada, he says his family decided to make the best of the situation.
It was my dog's first time coming to the snow, so we wanted him to experience it.
And while the weather came as a surprise to a lot of people, some, like Peter Bryden from San Francisco, came up here looking for this type of weather.
We just decided to do a little weekend backpack trip. We're hoping to do Shasta in a couple weeks if there's still snow, and we figured this would be a good, warm up, kind of test all the gear, make sure we're all set up.
Even with the heavy snowfall today, Bryden says it's still not as much as he was hoping for.
We were expecting like a foot or more, so I think this was kind of a little bit more relaxed than we thought it was going to be.
And with the current drought conditions in our state, overall, everyone can agree the extra moisture is much needed.
Might not make too much of an impact, but like every inch of snow counts in the long run.
Jeannie Nguyen, Fox 40 News.
Still ahead tonight, an Idaho farmer struggling with a worker shortage finds a way to feed families and harvest his fields.
If we don't have people here for 90 days, this whole crop is gone, which is why the people are in the field right now.
More on the thousands of people who showed up to his farm to work in exchange for free food.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. A lot cooler today than it was yesterday, but don't worry, it is going to be a very quick cool snap because by tomorrow, temperatures will be about 20 degrees warmer than today, and it is going to be well above normal. It's going to start to feel like summer for the next couple of days. But today, it was about 7 degrees cooler in Elmira, 6 degrees cooler in Corning, about 5 in Bath, and also in Watkins Glen. High pressure that's been on top of us will now move to the east, allowing for a return flow, meaning that south winds will return. It will pump up the moisture, and it will bring a lot of warm air from the south. This is the possibility for not only your Tuesday, but also on Wednesday before better rain chances return. There could be a few showers as we head into tomorrow, but it's not going to bring a lot of rain. But we do have some chances of rain for tonight. We'll take a look at that in just a little bit. But here's a look at your hourly planner through the day. At 8 o'clock in the morning, around 43 degrees, already bumping those temperatures up into the 50s by 10. And then by noon, lower 60s could be possible. By the late afternoon, we warm up into the 70s. So it's going to be a big change in our temperatures by tomorrow. You're probably going to even have to take out those shorts and a t-shirt. Our future radar, though, is showing we do have a few isolated showers that will be moving in tonight at around 1:15 in the morning. Hornell, you could see a few showers moving in. Corning and also Elmira getting in on the action around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but that batch will be moving out. We should see a little bit clearer conditions during the day. Then on Wednesday, we are expecting warmer conditions. In fact, temperatures will be about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than on Tuesday, but we do have another storm system that will come in and it will knock those temperatures back down by the end of the week. So we do have the possibility of rain from Wednesday night through the end of the week. So it's going to be pretty dreary for the second half of the week. But temperatures for tonight is going to be pretty chilly out there. Temperatures dropping down to around 36 degrees in Corning, near freezing in Elmira at 33. There could be a few showers, especially in the early morning hours for many of our hometowns. Highs tomorrow around 71 degrees in Elmira, 74, a little bit warmer in Corning, but 66 degrees in Perkinsville and 72 degrees in Bath. And so it's not going to be a bad day overall, considering we're going to start off close to freezing and we're going to be feeling like summer by the afternoon, and then 10 degrees warmer on Wednesday. Clouds will start to increase. There is the possibility of some rain late in the afternoon. Better rain chances on your Thursday. Then cooler air starts to move back in by the end of the week, and we are going to see those highs drop down into the 50s.
Millions of Americans are now getting vaccinated for COVID-19, and if you spent the summer working from home, that might be changing soon. Some businesses are welcoming employees back to the office. Mandy Gaither has tips on how to handle any anxious feelings or stress that may come with that.
For more than a year, your work life may have looked a lot different during the pandemic.
The prospect for many people of going back into the office if they've been home for the better part of the year is really intimidating.
Kristen Carpenter, a psychologist at The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, says heading back to work may be hard on your mental health.
I think it's difficult for employees thinking about coming back into work, but it's also difficult for managers, for businesses, for employers to kind of figure out the logistics of this.
Carpenter says some people may still struggle with the uncertainty of the pandemic, fears of the virus, or simply seeing coworkers again after being isolated.
I think it makes a great deal of sense for people to start to understand their own needs, really take stock of how they're feeling, and to work with their managers if they can on a more flexible, gradual return.
Asking about the work safety protocols and knowing things won't look exactly the same as pre-pandemic can help, Carpenter says. And if you haven't been out much the past year, she says you should slowly and safely start doing so.
If it's really intimidating, do so in off hours when maybe the traffic won't be quite so high. You have an opportunity to explore and just be in the world again.
While it might seem daunting for some, Carpenter says going back to the office could be a good thing for many.
I think we're all looking forward to a little bit more normal.
For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
Farmers are struggling, first due to COVID, then a worker shortage. But one farmer says instead of wasting food and throwing it away, he's giving it away. Steve Dent has more.
Put them down in the dirt.
Oahe Produce didn't have enough workers to harvest this field of asparagus.
It's getting to a point where farmers across this valley, across this nation, we're getting to a point where we want to give up. We're tired and exhausted of the bureaucratic process we have to go through, all of the requirements that we have that they don't have in Mexico.
Normally, most of the field workers come to the Idaho-Oregon border through the H-2A program.
It doesn't work like it should.
Third-generation farmer Shay Myers says it's a good program that legally brings people who want to work, but problems on our southern border has delayed those workers.
If we don't have people here for 90 days, this whole crop is gone, which is why the people are in the field right now.
Instead of letting this crop go to waste, Oahe Produce invited people to pick their own asparagus.
It's probably helping a lot of people.
And thousands showed up to work in the fields for free food.
Well, we'd like to say thank you to the farmers that are opening this up to the whole communities. Posting it all over Facebook. I'm sure everyone out here is very appreciative.
But for Oahe Produce, this marks the second crop in a year they've lost. Last year, it was onions because of COVID-19 and a broken supply chain. And now, asparagus. As Myers says, 80% of the production of this vegetable has been lost to Mexico in the last 10 years.
$8 a day versus between $14 and $16 an hour. I mean, how can we compete with that? We can't. And the only way that that's going to change is for the American consumer to wake up to that and demand a change to that.
Like the big ones are hard, but the little ones are easy.
It also doesn't help that Americans don't want to work in the fields.
I like it. I think it's fun.
Myers hopes this event will help people understand the work that goes into farming.
I need awareness. I need people to understand where their food comes from and how hard we work, how hard we fight to get food on people's tables.
NFL fans are gearing up for this year's draft, set to get underway Thursday in Cleveland. But unlike last year, fans will be in attendance this year with strict social distancing guidelines enforced. Clay Leppard has more.
For a little perspective, the 50,000 fans inside the NFL draft experience each day is about double the 25,000 fans allowed inside the Super Bowl in Tampa earlier this year. In this case, the NFL says that they are going to be using even more space to spread people out and doing it over 3 time sessions each day.
This is a really different draft because I think it's a hybrid draft, if you will.
In a conversation with NFL Executive Vice President Peter O'Reilly,
we expect to be sold out, fully committed in the next couple of days.
And NFL Director of Events Nikki Ewell, we learned more about what fans should know heading into next week's draft experience, a campus that spans 2.5 million square feet, including a draft theater 95 feet tall.
When we wanted to bring in more fans closer to the action, we knew that being vaccinated was going to be prominent in that plan.
That theater sits inside the vaccinated draft zone, where about 4,000 to 5,000 fans picked by the NFL through its OnePass mobile app will get a closer look if they can prove they're fully vaccinated.
Bring the card. It's the cleanest way.
Rewarding fans for doing their part in the pandemic.
We had 55 million people watch the draft last year. A lot of people will be seeing what those type of experiences are that can exist when you do get fully vaccinated, and hopefully we come through the other side of this fully.
As for what happens after the draft, NFL leaders tell us the theater will come down, leaving a clear space and a clean slate where warehouses once stood.
We've maybe inspired thinking about how that space could be used differently in the future, nestled there between the Rock Hall and the Science Center and the stadium, that would be a good thing.
A reminder, you do need a free ticket to go inside when it opens next Thursday. Those are available through the NFL's OnePass app.
The next time you get called for a job interview, it might be a scam. The FBI is reporting scammers are now posing as employers to steal identities from job seekers. Some of them are even going so far as to interview applicants. The scammers then ask interviewees for a bank account or credit card information, which they can use to steal money, open new accounts, or create fake identities. The scam has increased in frequency with so many people looking for work during the pandemic. Last year, more than 16,000 people reported being victimized by an employment scam. Apple says it has a plan to create thousands of new jobs in the U.S. The tech giant announced it was increasing its investment in manufacturing here in the U.S. to $430 billion. The company says that money will be used to build new facilities and create 20,000 new jobs over the next 5 years. Apple also plans to support new technology like 5G and artificial intelligence. It will also invest $1 billion to create a new campus and engineering hub near Raleigh, North Carolina. A unique approach to music engineering has a bird-loving producer going viral. Jeremy Roth has more in today's Take a Look at This.
Watch a music producer turn bird tweets into sick beats. TikTok sensation So Wiley has gone viral, particularly in the birding community, by mixing wild bird calls into bombastic musical tracks. Her first foray into the feathered funk stemmed from an owl hoot she heard online.
And it blew up. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I should make more of these because this is really fun.
Now fans are flocking to hear her wild warbling ditties. And in the meantime, she's just having a hoot.
It's just been really amazing and like a huge source of joy for me.
From a rockin' beat mix to a royal beat down. Feast your eyes on the battle to be the ultimate Josh. Hundreds of strangers flocked from all over to Lincoln, Nebraska for a massive pool noodle battle, and they were all named Josh. The event, hashtagged as Josh Fight, was started by a college student named Josh to stave off pandemic boredom. After a year of preps, the battle for the namesake commenced, but in the end there could only be one Josh. That was 4-year-old Lincoln local Josh Vinson Jr., who emerged victorious and crowned, noodle in hand. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
1,000 shots!
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. The pace of COVID vaccinations has gone slower in Canada than that in the US, but every shot is still a cause for celebration. The owner of Toronto Pharmacy did just that after administering their 1,000th dose of the vaccine. He danced and shouted, 1,000 shots. His staff responded with, COVID gone. This anti-coronavirus social media video has now gone viral. He believes the 1,000 AstraZeneca vaccines his store has given equals 1,000 people who won't have to go to the ICU. Employees are also proud to report his pharmacy has not wasted a single dose. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. Good night.